A drum is comprised of the shell, which is the main body of the drum, so the cylindrical wooden part. We've got a hoop at the top of the drum and a hoop at the bottom of the drum, which are being held on by tension rods and lugs. And these hoops are holding on the drum head. So the shell and the drum head contribute to the overall sound and timbre of the drum. So the drum head's got two main parts. We've got the metal hoop, which is usually made from aluminium, but sometimes steel. And then we've got the membrane, which is the part of the drum that we strike, and that's made with a polyester film. Now, drum heads are sometimes referred to as drum skins because the membrane of the drum head used to be made from animal hides, such as calf skin. So we're going to talk about how different drum heads affect the sound of a drum. So the different aspects of sound that a drum head can contribute to are the overall tone, so whether you're hearing more highs or more lows. The overtone, so remember an overtone is any tone that is higher than the fundamental tone of a drum. Projection, so projection is how the sound of a drum penetrates, so how it's heard, especially further away. So if it projects more, you're going to hear it clearer further away. There's also attack, so attack is how quickly the maximum amplitude is heard. So if you saw the wave of the sound, it's when the peak of that wave is heard, how quickly it's heard. Okay, so something with more attack, you're going to hear the peak of that wave quicker. Okay, so the sound like comes out faster, the maximum amplitude. You've also got resonance, so obviously we've got a bottom head on the drum as well. So when you hit the top head, which is the batter head, that's going to vibrate through the bottom head, and the bottom head will then resonate. So it's how long that bottom head vibrates for. Okay, so that's resonance. And then we've got sustain, so that's how long the tone is heard for. So if you hit a drum, you hear the tone, dum. And if it's got high sustain or long sustain, you're going to hear that tone for longer, dum, as opposed to shorter sustain, dum. Okay, so that's sustain. And then we've also got focus. So focus is where you're just hearing that fundamental tone, like clearly. So you're not hearing any overtones or other tones, you're just hearing that fundamental tone of the drum. So that's a focus sound. And then we've also got the sensitivity. Okay, so the drum head's going to contribute to how sensitive the drum is. So that means if you play it quietly, loudly, on different parts of the head, if it's sensitive, you're going to hear all those differences clearly. Okay, the drum is going to respond to all those differences in your playing, like how loudly or quietly you're playing, and also where you're playing on the head. The first thing we need to consider is the thickness of the drum head. Now we've got two main options when it comes to the thickness of a drum head. We've got single ply, which is one sheet of film, and we've got double ply, which is two sheets of film, one laid on top of the other. Now drum head thickness is measured in mil. Now mil isn't short for millimetre, and mil is 1/1000th of an inch. Now the standard size of a single ply drum head is 10 mil, and the standard size of a double ply drum head is 2 ply of 7 mil, so 14 mil in total. A single ply drum head is thinner, so it's going to vibrate faster and produce more higher frequencies. So a drum with a single ply drum head on it is going to have a brighter tone, you're going to hear more of them highs. A double ply drum head is obviously a little bit thicker, so it's going to vibrate a bit slower and produce more lower frequencies. So a drum with a double ply drum head on it is going to have a warmer tone. You're going to hear more of them lower frequencies. A single ply drum head is going to have more projection than a double ply drum head. So the sound of a single ply drum head is going to penetrate through more so than a double ply drum head. A single ply drum head is going to provide the drum with more attack than a double ply drum head. So you're going to hear that maximum amplitude of the sound faster. A single ply drum head is also going to provide more resonance to the drum. So because the head vibrates faster, it's going to provide more energy to the resonant head, giving it more resonance. A single ply drum head is also going to provide the drum with more sustain. So the sound of the tone is going to last a longer time with a single ply drum head. Okay, so the decay of the sound is going to be slower. A single ply drum head is going to be more sensitive than a double ply drum head. So it's going to respond better to those differences in dynamic and differences into where on the drum the note is being struck. A single ply drum head is going to provide a less focused sound than a double ply drum head. So you're going to hear more overtones with a single ply drum head. The extra weight of the double ply gives a slightly dampening effect, so you hear less of those overtones. And a single ply drum head is going to be less durable than a double ply drum head. So obviously that extra thickness of a double ply drum head makes it a more durable choice. So remember, more doesn't mean better. We might not be looking for maximum projection, maximum attack, maximum resonance, maximum focus. Okay, we're just looking for the amount that complements our playing most. The next choice we need to make is whether we want a clear drum head or a coated drum head. So underneath the coating is the exact same clear drum head, it's just covered in a coating, and the coating adds to the mass of the drum head, which is going to contribute to the sound in the same way a thicker drum head would. So it's going to reduce the higher frequency, so it's going to give a warmer tone, it's going to reduce the projection, reduce the attack, reduce the resonance and sustain, and it's going to increase the focus and durability of the drum. Now there's different densities of coating, so the more dense the coating is, the more weight it's going to provide, so the more it's going to reduce and increase those things. Now something we can have on a snare drum head is a dot in the center, which is a material 5mm thick that obviously increases the thickness of a drum head in the middle, which brings the fundamental pitch down and also increases the durability of the snare head. Now the snare resonant head, which is called the snare side head, is a thinner single ply drum head. So it needs to be thinner because it needs to transfer the energy to the snare wires to get that response of a snare drum. So the snare side head is 2mm, 3mm or 5mm thick. So the thinner the head, the more response you're going to get from the snare, so the more sensitive it's going to be. But if you're playing with a thicker batter head, it's better to have a thicker snare side head just so you get that balance of sound. Now sometimes with the bass drum we want a more focused sound with less overtones. So to do that we can have a 10mm inlay on our drum head, which increases the thickness and weight of the drum at the edges, which reduces the overtones, so we get that more focused sound. Now a good place to start for a versatile sound is to go with double ply batter heads for the toms, so choose clear or coated. And then for the resonant heads on the toms, go with a single ply clear drum head. For the snare drum, go with a single ply coated drum head for the batter head and go for a 3mm snare side head. And then for the bass drum, choose a drum head with that 10mm inlay ring just to reduce the overtones and just to get that more focused sound.